blessed love, family, filled room. We are going to try again to bring in Katalina, Turk, fruitarian, and all through her pregnancy has been on fruits. And then when we talk about the field, we talk about the environment. So what a, beautiful thing to do. If I was a child, I would love my mum to be on the best foods she could, best environment she could, and having her nervous system regulated as opposed to unregulated. So the environment is so important. We're just going to try and get Catalina on. She's brought up 3 children.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, we had to come back off and on again. So we got you. Beautiful. So yeah, tonight I'm in the living exchange with Katalina Turk. We'll be exploring the fruit-fueled motherhood, pregnancy and birth in nature, raising children in a living food environment. Excuse me. And the role, I'll have to read up some of the notes, the role of the nervous system regulation of 4 mothers, and when I look at who you are and what you've been doing and how you support others as well, and you have 3 children, all fruitarian, fruitarian through the pregnancy, or 2, should I say, excuse me. And so, I'm so excited really to hear about your journey, to be honest, and being a fruit-fueled mother. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been quite a journey, and it's been lots of fun. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, but I'm sure we'll talk about that as we go on. But thank you also for what you share. I love following you in all your amazing recipes, and very inspiring also.
You're welcome. Yes, it's we, especially in England, we get quite indulged in emotional foods that we used to once know and love. So, we play with that. I mean, if we was in a hotter climate with the fruits, we would be obviously more on the fruits. I mean, we still are about 80%, especially when we go to a much more hotter climate. Your body just screams out for hydration and living foods, and the fruits.
Yeah.
So yeah. So how did you feel? What did you notice? I mean, when you say it's been a roller coaster, what I like to share with people is it's not the easiest of journeys, but the heights you can reach and eventually sustain are just so worth it. So worth it. We're clearing out old programs, old habits. So they're it's the holding on, I find, that is our problem. Some of the old habits, that's why we have the problems. And the food really is cleaning that out. So hence we go back to our addictive behaviors. And food is really taken for granted, especially the sort of processed food, and whether the meat and dairy. It's people don't realize how addictive it is and how compromising it is. So yeah, we know about the known so-called addictions to alcohol and drugs, but the food comes under that, especially cooked food. But so yes, share us about some of your journeys through the pregnancy, and you basically in Costa Rica at the time.
Yes. So when I said the roller coaster, I meant kind of more motherhood has been a roller coaster. I mean, the raw food journey has been pretty stable, and it's always been like my comfort place, and it's always been my best place. And I've never doubted this lifestyle because I've always felt the best. But I think motherhood if there's other mothers watching or mothers that are coming, mothers to be, motherhood is quite the journey. And so actually fruit has been like a really good stability for me. It's something that keeps me grounded and helps me be the best mom I can be throughout this journey that's like this. It's like at least I have peace and know that I'm feeding my body the best diet possible, and I feel so good in my body. So that makes everything else, that makes the roller coaster more, that makes it better. It makes it
Sure.
not as crazy. That makes sense.
Yeah, so the two combined, you know, even if someone wasn't, whether it's a male or someone wasn't going through pregnancy, just on the journey can be a roller coaster. So motherhood, even if you wasn't on the fruits or the foods, is a journey. You know,
Mm.
it's really interesting. I was about 15 at the time when my youngest sister, she was only 17, 18 when she had her first child. So I was around nieces and nephews and, you know, taught them to ride their bikes and many things. So I'd be experienced, you know, my sister as a single parent as well. So it was a bit more trickier. And then went on to have my own children. Fortunately, I did have some more sort of esoteric kind of breath work awareness, even if I did shut down a little bit. But that helped me observe. And over the last 18 years, it's like, okay, big wake up call to like, you know, integrate these aspects of myself. So
Mm.
being with my sister at the time, and I see it with many people, with my partner now as well, what I see is the more resolved issues we have, more issues that are resolved in us, the less problematic it will be. What I feel is like when a child comes in, even in birth, when you know, there's a closest to God in the mother. I mean, I'm just like this, you know. Us men are clueless, you know. So could you imagine, you know, closest to source? So
Mm.
anything, it feels like anything that's not really in line is going to be pushed out, you know, or come to the surface. And then
Mm.
what I've witnessed, you know, this is as me as a male father, I've witnessed, even if potentially I might have my triggers, I have a process to look at what's going on. And generally, it might be something that's happened to me around that period 1 month, 2 months, a year in my life. I've actually been taken back. So the child is generally, the more clearer we are, the less problematic they will be. But it's just like
Mm.
we have an opportunity to revisit our childhood. It's in a nutshell, should I say.
Mm.
I don't want to go on too much because it's about you and your story.
No, it's super true. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Um, Very true. And what do you want me to share a little bit about um what inspired me or my pregnancy? What direction would you like us to go
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. So, I mean, you was potentially raw. How long you been fruit based or raw, should I say? Rolling.
Yes, for 8 years now, I was run over by a fruit truck
Well,
and broke 30 bones. And this is how I discovered the fruit lifestyle. I was on bed rest, I was in a wheelchair, didn't know how I was going to heal. Then I went to, I was living in the hospital for 2 months. And I knew I had to do something. So thanks to the fruit truck, I discovered this lifestyle.
mm,
And I discovered this is the best way to heal. I mean, it's really the only way to, I don't know, it's the only way to heal, I think, is to give your body the chance to heal itself. And I feel like with this fruit diet and also maybe a supervised water fast, which is something that I did also, my body was able to heal itself. And then I discovered the amazing benefits besides healing, just how good I felt in my body. And then when I got when I was thinking about getting pregnant, I said, I want to have the best possible pregnancy and bring my baby into the world in the healthiest way possible. And so, of course, I mean, I was already living this way, but this inspired me to do it more and more and get more into it. And because at first I started like raw till 4, you know,
Mm.
and I was doing raw gourmet a lot and not feeling so great. I mean, I was feeling good, but I was still feeling heavy. And
Mm.
so anyway, the when I got pregnant though, my body didn't want so many fats and it didn't want so many complex foods, and my body was craving hydration. It was craving but the key was also that I cleansed my body before. I already did this life. I was like already living on this lifestyle, and I did a supervised water fast of 24 days. So this really like cleansed out my body and I felt like I was completely clean. And then I got pregnant and then everything just flowed into place, and things felt good. I didn't even need to eat more food. I gained the perfect amount of weight. I had tons of energy. I didn't experience morning sickness.
Wow.
I felt no fatigue. I felt basically like the same. I almost felt like more energy. It was like my baby was giving me more energy,
Wow.
which was really cool.
Mm.
And yeah, I naturally just wanted foods that were high in water, high in vitamins, minerals, and life force. And it's like my body and intuition just knew this was the way. So I just kept getting more and more fruit based as the time went on, naturally.
Mm.
You know, it wasn't like I need to be fruit based, but it was just what felt best. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Is that when you try to do this lifestyle from the mind, it's really, really difficult. But if you do it more from here, like heart centered and listening to your body, it's going to be way easier. When you're like, no, I need to do this, I need to eat rotten, that's when I think the problems arise. I don't know how you feel about that, but.
I agree so much, to be honest. You know, again, I do sort of say, being in England, you know, we might have sort of 4 months rain, you know, cloud. So
Mm,
where you are more in the tropics, I would say it would be so much easier to sustain that lifestyle. And I so agree with you with
mm,
the odd gourmet we have. It's just like, especially when we're in a hotter climate, it's they kind of we wean them off really. And then especially we've got so much amazing fruits,
yeah.
like you would have in Costa Rica, you know. So you know what I hear you saying is this like me. I realized before I had done some other cleanses before I jumped into anything more. Um, Long term. So it is wise for anyone to sort of slowly go into it. Then you're clearing out the senses. So it's amazing what you say when you was pregnant. In it's just your body's more awake, already cleansed already. So to me, you're getting the more true essence of what you know, from nature, what your child wants, what a mother would be doing in nature. So
Mm,
you know, yeah, I so agree, you know, but we do the best wherever we can to aspire to get the best fruits. You know, a big thing is, you know, really take my hat off to you in terms of obviously you've chosen a best environment that you would like to be in, and for your children too. So you know, how amazing, you know. I always put myself in what would I have wanted when I was a child. So what
mm,
I aspire to do is do the best I can in a given moment to where I am for my child. It's like, well,
mm,
I would have loved to been where you are. I would have loved to been birthed there and into tropics. So, okay, work on that, Pete. You know, so we can all work on, you know, being in good environments because, you know, our nervous system getting, when we really realize if we start venturing, I look back and realize, wow, my nerves were just like, and that was my norm, you know, until I
mm,
broke through and then realized that's just
mm,
not norm. And then you realize a lot of us are in fight or flight. So, a big thing about getting the nervous system regulated, and food and fasting, intermittent fasting has all been a part of that, So wherever one is, if they do a little bit at a time and you obviously come off the processed, more dead foods, to bring some life back into their body, to the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like food has a big influence on our nervous systems.
Mm.
Not, I mean, a lot. It has so much. There's like a lot of different things that have to do with the nervous system, but food, your environment, who you surround yourself with, right? That all has a lot to do with it. So
That's it. It's a holistic
it
approach.
might, right? It's a lot, but also the mother's nervous system affects not just myself, but my baby. Not just in when I'm pregnant, but my babies now, my children now. My nervous system directly affects theirs. It's like they feed off of my nervous system. So I have to be super good, not just for myself, but for my daughter, my son, and even my husband. It's like when I'm dysregulated, it's like the whole family is dysregulated. So women, we have such a big role in this world because we can make or break
I agree.
the planet.
Yeah. So, often I sort of say us men have really got to man up and be responsible and accountable for our own emotions. So the women aren't effectively being a conduit to our repressed emotions, so we can hold space for the women to really do their job, and it's a two-way thing, but we all come from mothers. So on a level, us men need to get out of the way. We all come from mothers. It's a big thing. So the better environment the mother is, like the soil, say the man's the seed, and the more cleansing we've done before we even think about conceiving. It's beautiful what you sort of said, that you had done water fast and got on the food before. And this is, this isn't kind of, this is just really for anyone who wants to maybe uh, move on from a potential fulfilling prophecy where, why isn't this working, why isn't that working, when it's normally the habitual things we're doing every day, and especially the food. If I look back on my life, especially the foods and different friends and potential people I help and support, it's such a big thing, because we could be doing yoga, we could be doing whatever practice, and then we go back to eating compromising foods. So we've just regulated our nervous system, and then we're going back to put something in, and it's like, one step forward, two steps back. So, I feel, again, there were, to mothers, I've got my mum passed 12 years ago. I had two sisters. One died pretty earlier. And, with what I know now, obviously I did my best at the time, but with what I know now, I know a lot more now, really, and realizing just what you sort of said, the children as well, when they're older, I mean, you've got to hold it together, basically, and and then when the children get their own characters, their own personality, it can be even more, character building, I'm going to say, and then such, should I say, symbiotic relationships go on, and keeping individuals pretty clear and you grounded, so everyone knows themselves more. I feel is very important, and the food can really help with that, from a dysregulated children, or certain foods, and they are such a conduit.
Yes. I mean, I've seen, first of all, like, food affects so many different things. I also don't like to focus too much on the food, because then we get too much in the mind. But I like to just, instead of think so much about it, but like feel it. Feel how whole, fresh fruits just make me feel. And that's what helps me. That's what stabilizes me. That's what keeps me going, is like remembering how good it makes me feel and how good it is for my nervous system. And I don't even have to do anything. Like, as a mom, we have so much to do. And if we have to add cooking into the mix and we have to add cleaning into the mix, like, the fruit lifestyle is just the easiest. It really, we don't have to do much. I mean, we don't have to do anything with the food. We just take it out and cut it out, and that's it. And that helps our nervous system also, right?
Yeah. And how beautiful that's what your children only know. Amazing, really amazing. So I'm just going to share. So yeah, we're basically, so in terms of your experience, what's your experience from being a fruitarian based mother in terms of breastfeeding? Have you noticed difference in terms of breastfeeding? You could kind of, yeah. Okay.
Yes. First of all, I have an incredible supply. I've never had any issues. I have like the perfect amount of milk all the time, always abundant, never too much, never too little. My milk just came in right away. Everything has been easy about my breastfeeding journey. And I attribute a lot of this to my diet. And also my nervous system, because when the mom's nervous system is out of whack, the milk also can get unbalanced. But also my babies, neither of them ever got sick. They never had belly pain. The typical things that happen with little children, with not being able to digest the milk, that never happened.
Wow.
And everything was just, I felt like living this way, you're just living aligned with nature, so things just work and everything just is easier. And then I feel like when we start adding things from the outside world, like from society, that's when things get complicated. And that's when I feel like the problems happen.
Yeah. It's beautiful to hear. So, what advice would you give for mothers, let's just say, who are more in the system? And it's interesting what you say. The more we acquiesce to the system, the more problematic it can get. Not always, but it can definitely get that way. And it's so nice to hear. And I think people need would be wise to hear this podcast and hear your stories and hear more mothers like you sharing these stories, because there aren't so many in the mainstream, because to me there's a big push for cesarean and things like that. So what advice could you share in terms of someone who's more in the system, apart from trying to get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say, like, start questioning things, because I grew up in the system and I didn't question things when I was younger. I started questioning things when I was older, and I started traveling and I saw the world and I saw things outside the system. That's when I started questioning it. So what I would just say is start questioning things like, is this the best? Who says it's the best? Is this, and go, like, instead of staying in the mind, no, I have to do it this way. My kid needs this food or needs this protein or needs to eat at this time. And when you start thinking like mothering from the mind and not from the heart, that's when I would start saying, come more into the heart and into like your intuition and what that says, instead of what people say you should be doing. And just start like questioning, is this the best way? Does it have to be this way? Who says?
It's interesting. I think people need, or should I say, to hear more stories like yours. And then to a lot of people, it's like, I knew that, I bet a lot of women, I knew that, I felt that, but I didn't listen. things like that.
Mm.
So, you know, mainstream again doesn't bring in these kind of messages and stories. So, I mean, we did a for our 3.5-year-old wild birth, home birth, rebirth, and then a lotus birth as well, and then skin to skin for 10 days. That was uh, potentially my first achievement in doing that, and it was so epic. It was so epic, and for the mothers who haven't had that and have had difficulties, that's it still it is what it is. But we can aspire to get things more in place, not to so-called have the perfect pregnancy, perfect birth, but however to make it more closer to that, to wherever we are at. So that was so epic for me in terms of the lotus birth and having my daughter on me. I had her on me after about 5 minutes because my partner
Mm.
needed to go to the loo. And we had an agreement that we're going to be skin to skin. And I've done lots of breath work and lots of different things. She passed me and I just put her down to the side. She's just looked at me, what are you doing? Oh, yeah. And then I go to put a shirt on. To the programs can be so strong. So what subconsciously I knew what I was fearing. So I had her on me, and within a minute I had to do so much breath work that I've not done before, like so intensely. And it reminded me of where I got to on a 5-day dry fast. Within 1 minute, my daughter on me took me to that space. Now, isn't that incredible? It's just like, so it felt like a tsunami, tornado, and I just feeling more
Mm.
heavy in my heart that it's bringing up. So I had the opportunity to go through that and breathe through that. And it did pass. This is what people
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
need to work with. It does pass. Sometimes we say, no, it didn't work because it was just about to blossom and we didn't carry on. And
Mm.
then. So that was epic. And, I've shared it with a few men about that story. And I would recommend anyone, the man to aspire to do as much clearing on themselves. So, there's not certain trauma, too much trauma in the field, which can affect, as I'm sure you're aware, can affect the field of you giving birth. So to be able to be more present with the mother, So
Mm. That's beautiful. Also, yeah, I think that another thing that helps us, that can help you kind of, the moms that are in the system, is even if you're in the system, you can do different things every day, just to like one thing every day, just to get out of the system a little bit and get, because the system really wants to like control you and for you to be up here in the mind and we're stressed. And so one thing that helps me get out of this place and get down here is just being in nature. And being in nature, that's it. That's all I have to do. It's not even like I have to do anything. Just being in nature helps me come down to here, helps me connect with my intuition, helps me connect with truth, the truth that the woman's body is perfect, is perfectly designed to give birth to a baby. It doesn't need any assistance. There's no need to go to a hospital. Hospitals, if you have a problem, if you're sick, you have an emergency. The idea that they started putting women in hospitals to give birth, the driver's is like, it doesn't even make sense because it's the most natural thing we could ever do. Why would you go to the opposite a place that's like completely unnatural to do something that you need to do naturally?
It's crazy. Yes, it's very, very crazy. So I think the more people get to hear this and hear stories like yours and ours as well, that you don't have to do that. And like Katalina mentions, which is beautiful, question things, research, in terms of alternative births.
Mm.
That's if you truly desire that. And, what I found also, which has been really interesting because, our first, say, 4 births were I've had quite a few long-term relationships and had a few children. My eldest is 39 now, actually. So, and I have grandchildren and everything. So it's like I've lived about 4 different lifetimes in this lifetime, which is quite strange. So, but you could say it's a shame to get to where I am now to have a bit of an inner standing about it. Where in our 20s, we could be more educated, more, say, more wise, more able to sustain the women more. So, and the women could be more educated as well. So, yeah, it's so yeah, I'm sharing what I can with who I can, and most people are just like me in the past. It just feels like I'm running the gauntlet without even thinking. And then again, like you mentioned, the system, working, paying the bills, it's just a very treadmill that can keep you that way. So, like you mentioned, one thing at a time, people educate themselves as well. I was just going to say to any people, there's a few people listening, it'd just be interesting. Yeah, let us know where you're listening from, and we can move on from there. I mean, so what I also realized, again, we try and do our best in terms of fruits. In England, I would say whatever country you're in, aspire to be more seasonal, and then you are getting the more vibration, the more living foods. That's my experience for being, 18 years on this journey and about a good 17 in England, dipping in and out the last few years. And I have sort of said that you cannot heal in England, but I took that back. It's so much more difficult when you haven't got the sun and, you haven't got the really good foods. So, I'll stay with that one. So we just try and do our best what we can there. And so, what I also feel as well, what's the best a man can do, even the woman, which you've alert to, is to get to a presence. That's our presence. We could be, okay, the kids are playing up this and that. If we drew back, it's, okay, what's going on in my field? Or someone who's just entered in. What's going on? So many, many times we just talked about something, managed to find out what it was. And then the children just settling down. And then they're just gone off and playing their thing. So it's just they're great, in terms of reading the field, reading our field, and it is, we say it's not easy, but if we keep changing the affirmation, it is simple, made complex. We've just been made complex, but it is simple. So that's my new affirmation. It is easy. It is easy. And even though there's another part of me just like, no, it's not, but no, not going to be that. So I think if we just keep that focus and keep the dream alive of how we would like to be, people who inspire us and what we would truly want, and keep that light alive. So
I wanted to add something there because I was having a session today, and the mom said, yeah, my child just can't play alone, can't play by themselves. And all I said was, if you're with your child, if you give your child 100% of your attention for 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 100%, your child's going to be able to play on their own. They're going to be able to build their confidence. They're going to feel good. And just by gifting them that 30 minutes of your presence, maybe in the morning and then in the after, I mean, all day would be great. But if you can't, just that 30 minutes of 100% presence in the morning, I think that's a great gift for our children.
It's beautiful. Yes, I realize even when my daughter was growing up, she's 24 now, but when I used to have her, we separated when she was about 5, so I'd have her a lot the weekends and the holidays. And then, there would be some things I had to do. So, whatever is the perfect mum or dad. But what you just said there was so important. When she became more of age, I'd be able to, even when she was younger, we'd work with it, even with our daughter now, 3.5-year-old, with that method. So, my daughter's mum does that in the risings. Half hour, an hour, it's totally present with her. And that sets the precedent. So they've just come in or woke up into a real relaxed and sharing environment. And they're stay in the feeling, feeling, let's say, nurtured. And then what I found, maybe 4 or 5 hours later, okay, there's a bit of unrest going. So you just give them another 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. Medicine.
100%. Not that you're not giving them just that. You're giving them more, but you're giving them that 100%, like you mentioned.
What I could say is in the mornings, waking up, like not even turning your phone on for half an hour, like if you don't need to rush to school, or if you do have to go somewhere, like maybe wake up a little earlier so you can gift yourself and your children this, because this is what our children need. They need our presence. There's so much going on in the world outside that like this is going to regulate their nervous systems. This is going to help them start their day off the best possible way. And like just your presence, 0 phone, 0 tablets, nothing. Maybe some fruit, but like we don't have to wake up and eat either, We wake up, we spend time together, we breathe, maybe put on a mantra, drink some water. Like I don't even talk to my daughter about food until, maybe half an hour after she wakes up, an hour, when she says that she's hungry, because the whole idea that we have to eat right when we wake up, also it doesn't feel natural. So,
yeah, we've slipped into some old habits as well. It's like, oh, no, why is she doing that? Well, because we are doing it.
yeah.
So they're great mirrors, amazing mirrors.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which, over the many years, I've had so many different experiences, me as a child as well, and then having to, or choosing to revisit them experience, generally traumatic experience to kind of, let's just say, clear the shock to hopefully blossom and bloom, So, and then witness with my children as well, so many different things in terms of, as we are all energy beings and very, very much a conduit. So that brings me to a book I'm compiling, The Living Field and Children as Mirrors. So that encompasses so much, because we've all been children, but we've forgotten, we've switched off. If this experience I didn't have 18 years ago, I would have never have known that I was so much more connected up until I was 16. I would have just gone through life. This is what it is, accepted. So, and quite a traumatic wake-up call, a bit like being hit by a fruit bus. I mean, it comes to us in really strange ways, So it's just like I wasn't getting the message, so I had to have a big wake up call to get it. So I'm grateful for that. I'm great. So when I see the how things have blossomed, anything that may come now that I may judge hard or why or negative, I work on just dropping it as quick as I can, because I remember the times, all these other times that they were hard, and how they all blossomed. You never lose anything of any value. This is what I've experienced. Even though I could think, yeah, but I lost this. Honestly, what has blossomed from them experiences have been so beautiful. So I'm just going to keep on that. So, to the viewers, just, you never lose anything of any value. So, if something feels like it needs to go, or it's whatever, the society or someone feels like it's taken away from you, well, let it go. Let it go, If it's so, that's been some of my experiences. So, yes, the living fields and children as mirrors. We're all that, and we've all been imprinted, and like even in the womb, and then you got the father and the mother. I would believe, going back, even if it's Kemetic scenes, we would have been very clean before even thinking about conceiving, and just purely for the, bringing in a new soul, So I said a lot there, but anyway.
That is super important. That both both woman and man do, if they can,
The best they can.
preconception,
The best
do
they can.
their work, not just detoxing your body, but detoxing emotions, detoxing the mind, and getting as clean as possible in all realms.
Yeah, and then that,
Because, yeah.
yes, and then to me that's birthing the new world. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
lots of people talk about the new world and stuff like that, but you know, to me, it's all what's going on outside. We could be talking about the many things that are going on, but we obviously are choosing not to because personally, my journey, it's our inner turmoil, our inner war. So if we're getting too caught up on the outside, someone can say, Pete, well, why aren't you taking notes of this? Why aren't you taking notes of that? You know, because I've realized it wouldn't be going on if each individual be more accountable for their inner potential shadow, the suppressed emotions in them, you know. And there was a big one with, I think it was Gary Orosky many years ago on an interview. And he said, you know, you find me, he said a few, say murderers, rapists that are vegan. And then he looked at the report and he said, actually, you find me one. Now, that has been taken out. Because I remember showing it to my nephew at the time, he's nearly 30, and he's just like, whoa, that's deep. So just that alone, what does that tell you? Even if there's 1% that are vegan and have caused these horrific crimes, but he said, you find me one. So what does that tell you in terms of, and similar to who are hospitalized, you know, it could be defined in the same way. So, you know, leaving viewers with that, that's so fundamental. Even if there was 1%, you know, vegans that have committed these horrific crimes. But he said, find me one. And to say that, you know, but strangely, that bit got taken out. Anyway, so that's another topic. So yeah, I mean, like yourself, I don't want to go banging on about the food and this, but it's a holistic thing, and I think we are in a real critical time. On a level, I feel we've been in a critical state for a long time, but we have an opportunity to really ascend and clean and you know, I used the word I had in my dreams to draw Mahat, you know, the weighing of the heart. So it really feels that is impressed upon everyone now. You know, how heavy is our heart against a feather? So the more we can clear out that energetic kind of stagnation, whatever it may be, you know, the potential, if we want to believe in reincarnation or not, but maybe we won't be in this loop, you know. We can have more choice. Yeah.
Exactly. And the more work that we do on ourselves, the cleaner we are, the better place we're going to show up for our children, right? And we're going to, if we think about like you said, how mirroring is so important. You know, I'm eating my watermelon outside in the sun, and my kids just, I don't even ask them, do you want lunch? You know, I go outside, I have my lunch, and they just flock and they come and they see, this is so nice eating my lunch, sitting down in the grass, in the sun, with our hands, our watermelon, and they just mimic it, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say. Like, if you want to start bringing healthier food, if you want your children to start eating healthy, what's the first step? What are you eating? What are you showing them? Because we are their guides. We are their role models. And also help them, like, what other role models are you showing your children? Like, kind of provide them with, like, the healthiest role models possible you want them to learn from. I think that's also key. Like, who are you exposing your children to? Like, be selective, right? Be selective, like, not just to everyone. Like, what are we showing them? Where are we bringing them?
Yes, I mean, our daughter's so extrovert. It's just like, you know, we're having to keep pulling the reins. We go up to everyone and anyone. You know, so,
But
you know,
that's also beautiful.
it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It was just, but just having to bring in some healthy boundaries, and
Mm,
she's at the age. It's really interesting watching. If you stay in tune, it's like, oh, she's ready now for that. Oh, they're ready for that now.
mm,
You can sort of say it in a certain way, because imposing too much on the children too young, it's just like, I think, that's really detrimental, can be very detrimental in terms of too many heady things. And like you mentioned, they copy. So, so many things that have happened with our daughter, it's like, which one of us did that? I don't say you. We're both looking, either pointing at each other. Certain
yeah.
habits, certain mannerisms, certain way she's talking. So, and then we
Mm,
realize, whoa, we're going to have to brush up on that because there's certain patterns that we would rather
yeah.
prefer not doing, but we do them.
Right. And that's so key about being conscious parents is like knowing is always being attentive to where we can improve, what's happening like every day, kind of like recapping and having the openness and desire to evolve and improve for our children, like always questioning, was that what I did? Was that like the most illuminated? Was that the most loving thing I could have done? So I think as moms and fathers, we constantly questioning, looking back, seeing how we can get better is also going to help us
Yes.
be the and also working on ourselves. I receive therapy every week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the gifts. I actually do it like as a gift to my children,
Oh,
not just so I can show up as
shit.
the best possible mom, but so that
Uh,
they see that that's normal to do, to self-reflect.
Lost Catalina there. Apologies. This something went down, so I'm going to invite her on just to finish off. And being a fruit-based mother, all through her pregnancies, and please do watch. There's some great advice for people aspiring to have a more regulated kind of nervous system, regulated birth, and more. Not saying that you can't have so-called regulated good births in the system, but to me, it's always good to educate yourself more, to hear other people's stories. I mentioned a few births in the beginning were pretty traumatic because I did not know. Me and my partners at the time did not know much about alternative types of birthing, or let's just say the procedure, a better procedure of getting ourselves more aligned so we could potentially have better births. Emotionally, were we stressed? Were we caught up in working hard? Or worrying about this anxiety, that anxiety. Yes, going back, I was massively, paying the bills, feeling victimized, money to pay this, pay that. So anyway, apologies for that, Catalina. So yeah, so I heard that. I think the last bit you mentioned was yeah, you make a point of having therapy once a week, and to me that would be, let's just say, with the parent and the grandparent back in the day, they different these days, but we would have potentially not needed that. We would have just been in general beautiful conversations, I'm going to call it, would just be it would be very healing.
Mm,
So
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
I so agree. I think me and my partner aspire to keep things so transparent, and we invite each other, and each day really, and we do a gratitude, all three of us, before
Mm,
just to share different things, whatever may have come up, especially before food. So
mm.
what would you like to finish up on? I mean, yeah, so Catalina, she reached out for us to us for let's say maybe last year about an event she's doing, and it's in April, and there are a few spaces. So unfortunately, we would have loved to have attended, but we had something else going on at the same time, and
Mm.
you know, be sure we would have loved to attended in Costa Rica by the beach in this awesome retreat place, Catalina, right?
Mm.
So it looks so beautiful. So I mean, what would you like to share about the event that's coming up?
Yeah, so we design these events, these raw food, fruit events, to not just celebrate, well, there are different things. We want to celebrate life together with like-minded people. We also want to celebrate the fruit life and how fruitful and abundant Costa Rica is, and share this with others, but also share this lifestyle and show people, come spend a week with us and we will live this lifestyle together, and we will show you how to make it work and how to make it sustainable. And that is not just about recipes, about menus. It's about connecting with here, what's going on here, because a lot of times people are eating to cover up what's going on. So we are going to, in the retreat, that's something we focus on. We focus on connecting with here, with the heart. Doing every single day, we do workshops so that whatever needs to come out comes out, so we don't need to block it with food. So that eating living foods, eating the raw vegan diet is easy and actually enjoyable, because that's what we want. We want it to not be stressful. We don't want to feel like we're being limited. We want to feel freedom. And that's how I feel that we can make this lifestyle feel that way. If
Okay.
not, we might feel like it could be restricting. It could be like I'm doing something that really deep down I don't want to do. So that's what this retreat is all about. It is about finding freedom in the healthy lifestyle and enjoying the healthy lifestyle. And so we're going to come together for 8 days, 9 days and 8 nights on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. It's an all-inclusive, really intentional retreat. We wake up on the ocean. We do yoga, breath work, meditation. We have our workshops, and then free time, have our fruit. We have fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch, and then we have our salad for dinner, and then some other raw goodies in there. And then just really being in nature, because that is what I feel like also makes this lifestyle easier. And just not just this lifestyle, but also balancing our nervous system, which is something that I've noticed that when I'm not in nature, my nervous system is completely out of whack. I notice
Wow.
I go back into nature and it's just regulated.
Mm.
So just being in nature these 9 days.
It's beautiful. 70% of the work's done, isn't it? Being in the nature and the sun. This is what I realized.
It's free. It's free to
I
just
know.
be in nature. It's like the easiest thing. So just connecting with nature is going to also help us connect with ourselves. And yeah, it's a beautiful event. It's happening from April 11th till the 19th. We have 2 spots left, and it's really a transformational journey. It's not just like a vacation. It's like an intentional week of coming and taking home not just healthy eating habits, but also healthy habits for taking care of yourself, your emotions, so that you leave transformed,
Mm.
empowered, feeling great in your body.
It
How
looks
this is
amazing.
this lifestyle makes you feel so good. It makes you feel like
Yeah.
on top of the world. When you're eating living foods, you feel so alive.
And to me, it's a great like reset. We've done a few resets, but it's great for a person to experience that because they can start implementing it more because they've lived
Mhm.
it and they've sustained it in 9 days, and it gets imprinted more into their psyche, so they can go home and then I'm sure you'll be sharing them methods and ways of how they can do it back more in the system, or when they're doing a 9 to 5 or whatever. So I'd strongly recommend it. I've looked at how your advertisement on it, and it's so beautiful. We will put a link in below as well. So yeah, I would strongly recommend it. We would definitely be there, but we had other major priorities at the time, and it would be so beautiful to kind of connect up another time, as well. So
we're gonna have other retreats in the future. I have a big desire to have a family retreat with just to do like a fruit, family, nature, fun retreat with different families. And then I have a lot of different ideas. I'd love to do a mother retreat also.
beautiful.
So it would be good to keep, you can follow me on Instagram to stay tuned for different retreats that we're going to be offering.
Great. My battery's only got about 2% left now. So it's been so amazing, Katalina. Thank you ever so much. Fruit-fueled mother, and blessed love to you, honestly. So and sometimes things can be so simple. The more information, it's more about remembering, I think, as well. When the nervous system sort of comes down, you remember. It's like, oh, I knew that, I remembered that. So I
love that. That's a great thing to end on. Like, just how can we live simpler? And this is one of the ways. Is eating fruits makes motherhood very simple.
It does. And then, persevere, because the sense is, the old paradigm is going to be craving other things, but persevere, get the best fruits you can, and then you slowly start cleansing, and you slowly start getting the message from the fruits. So I'm going to leave it there, because I've probably got 1% there. And so blessed love everyone for joining, and thank you, Katalina. It's been such a joy, such inspiring hearing your journey, honestly. And
God bless. Thank you.
Okay. Big love.
Bye bye.
Bye now.